With Ninjago Dragons Rising Season 3 Part 1 finally finished, I guess soon enough we're going to have... what? You're telling me Season 3 Part 2 is out? A week after Season 3 Part 1's out. How ironic, Lego. You done it again. So, I'm recording the first 8 episodes pretty much in this video, breaking them down. But this is still going to be a full breakdown video of all of Part 2. We are going to discuss every sort of Easter egg, every sort of reference, everything that's sort of happening in this season. So it is going to be a bit of a jam full. Just we're going to do the first 8 episodes early. And then if anything interesting comes in between, we are also going to break that down in this video. Because why not have a weird, messy sort of breakdown video? Let's get on with today's video. Season 3 Part 2's breakdown. Spoilers, obviously ahead, but if they come out early, majority of you have already watched it. 3 months, 4 months from now, when it actually gets out, you've had a long warning period. Why are you waiting? You don't need me to tell you spoilers. Let's get on with it. Ninjago Dragons Rising Season 3 Part 2. Season 3 Part 2's intro takes place similarly to how... It's pretty much similar to the original intro for Season 3. However, this takes place in the Spectral Lands. You can tell Thunder Thing is back here. This is where Mora was at the end of episode 10. So this takes place in the Spectral Lands. You can see that the ninja all sort of jump into view while Thunder Thing is powering up. You can see all the ninja besides Zane are in their spectral suits. You can see them all running. I'm pretty sure the Arc Dragon of Focus is brand new to this shot as well. Seemingly they're freeing the Arc Dragon of Focus this season. They're jumping into view, and then the ninja jump to attack the Forbidden 5. I'm pretty sure the Forbidden 5 are brand new in this shot. I don't think they were in the last shot of Thunder Thing. I could have been mistaken. But we get the same sort of shots of Zane and Sora find the Dragonians here. Zane's the only one in the storm suit still. Kai and Nia versus 2 of the Forbidden 5. Lord Ra's still with her. I'm not spoiling what happens in the season, but I'm pretty sure we get the gist of it. I think this is a pretty cool intro. Would have preferred something different. Frack is obviously here with his spectral suit. Would have preferred probably something different, but still, nonetheless, a really cool intro to a season. I'm looking forward to breaking down this season. Sadly, yes, early, but we'll talk about that once we hit episode 18. Let's start with episode 11. Episode 11 starts off with inside the Land of Mysterium, where they are visited by a great new friend. Now, we obviously see, I forgot her name. She was in Season 2, Part 1. She's an amazing character. I forgot her name. I've just forgotten. Anyhow, Roz is going to be looking for her in the Land of Mysterium later on this episode. And then we get a familiar friend sort of come out. To play. I think it's Drex who comes out to play, if I'm not mistaken. And starts to turn them all hollow. Yeah, that's the intro. Yeah. Let me try changing the speed on this. Make it actually quicker. Yeah, this is the first time doing it a bit like this, so sorry. Yeah, so it is very different, of course, but yeah, it is one of the Forbidden 5 that are here, obviously, in the land of Atrocity. Yeah, it is Kerr. Kerr is here. So Kerr takes all his souls by playing this instrument, which is really cool. Then we have the intro scene that we discussed. Now, in these first couple of scenes, we do get Aaron's sort of like backstory on what happened after the Tournament of Sources, which I found interesting. It is perfectly fine to obviously have this as a part of the season 3 part 2 explanation, because yeah, he's actually explaining this to one of the ninja, and this sort of makes sense why he would be explaining all this. It does make sense. I'm perfectly fine with it. I just know when this all had come out, people were like, why was there explanation now? Now Sora just refinds everything that happened in season 3 part 1, with Eren saying, no matter what, you're in it for a long shot, I'm always going to be there for you. Pretty much that whole dynamic in the last couple episodes of season 3 part 2. We find out Lord Raz gets his answer from the his master. Anyhow, on the new bounty that Roby has given Wildfire, Wildfire pretty much drives the ship. The ninja aren't really so thrilled. They're making it to where Egalt and Rontu are. Why, you might ask? It's mainly because Egalt is on his deathbed. Yeah. So this, I'll just jump in. Why does season 3 part 1 do this? I explained this when the leaks didn't come out, because you're most likely watching this when the release date is. The reason why this has come out and why this is happening now is because we're halfway through the series with 5 seasons. It makes sense to kill off Egalt now, other than later. It's a perfect also timing too, because for the storytelling purpose of this season, Eren is on the wrong side, and Egal's training from last season has sort of affected those events of happening. Makes sort of sense to do it like this, right? And I'm totally fine with it. Egot was obviously eventually going to die. It was hinted at straight away. So this was perfectly respectful. It's interesting to see all the ninja here, including Cole. Doesn't make 100% sense because Cole never was taught of him. But maybe there's something behind the scenes that we don't know of. Besides the funeral, because I want to skip, because that's pretty much the length of this episode. Ryu asks Rontu to come to the monastery because she'll be alone by herself. What happens next? Yeah, so pretty much they're on their way to that Mysterium area. Sora makes them a couple of bikes. Pixel and Zane now go on their little adventure now. So they won't be in the season. It makes sense because the hollowed ones, this is gonna be hard to top hollowing these two souls. Not possible. So they go on their little adventure. Lloyd just expresses his feelings to Nia about how difficult this is all for him, and how he's finding it hard to obviously keep all the ninja together. With Zane going out and his adventure, Cole is going out here and there, and then Jay now lost memories. He's finding it very difficult. They do try to bargain with Jay to help them find Eren's parents, which I think is something that was pretty good to do this season. Sorry, what are you? Which I think was really good to do this season. Because if you didn't do it, you're just gonna waste time to explain later down the line. And I think the whole point, this season does feel a bit odd to find his parents in the first 5 episodes, but it kind of all falls together, which I think is really neat. Because otherwise the adventure would be a bit crap. Anyhow, this first episode pretty much gets them ready for their adventure. Eren, Sora, Raz make it to this Mysterium place to find that magical lady. However, they are not letting people in because of what happened that night. And pretty much Lord Raz goes apeshit crazy, breaks in, finds out what the Forbidden Five are doing. The Mysterium lady decides, yeah, I know Sora, I'll help you guys, even though Raz is the enemy. And the episode pretty much is left there with one of the Forbidden Five coming back to take more souls. So yeah, let's go to episode 12. Episode 5, Human Resources. So pretty much what happens in this episode, to quickly nutshell it, Pretty much they want to get the the wizard pretty much out of here, so Lord Rise can find how to get to the underworld. Of course, Aaron's blade gets broken. Obviously, we'll see something cool later on with this, because they find out that they can pretty much detect the Dragonians and see them, because obviously without them you can't see them, so you get pretty much hollowed. Anyhow, Wildfire still hasn't learned how to tame the ship. Lloyd and Nia pretty much question Jay about his memories. We learn a bit that Jay doesn't remember anything before the merge, that he's been lied to, manipulated, not just by Lord Raz, but also by the administration. That's why he's not trusting any of the ninja, because they could all be lying. Jay tells Lloyd that he's pretty much got this. They pretty much take the Riders team, just goes on a pretty rapid nutshell, pretty much. We'll see at the end of this episode. Jay pretty much tells them how things are going to go down when they get in there. And he's like, you have shared your goodness. And Jay says, it's cute that you think I had any goodness. Something that I feel like is debacled later on. We'll explore it later down in this breakdown. Jay obviously knows some tips and tricks on getting out of the administration. Smoke bombs, birthday cakes, all that sort of stuff. Aaron, Raz, and Sora go to the monastery in the land of wherever this is again. Land of Magic or Land of Mysterium. Sorry, that's the actual name. Obviously, with the wizard pretty much down, what they need to now do with the witch is here. She's pretty much made some, like, what would you say? Now that her soul is pretty much seduced to nothingness, there is another embodiment pretty much now going to take over as a backup, because we learned in season 2 part 1 that there was this other woman that was always fighting with her, and pretty much at the end of this she will come back in a future episode to play a bit of an important part, but not right now. So we are sort of understanding what the hollowed ones are at this point from episode 11. Pretty much your soul is hollowed and you're just a mindless zombie, which is something I feel like is interesting. And pretty much that's it. They find what they need to find about getting to the underworld. And that's pretty much it. They make it to the realm of Lee, I think, in this episode. Lord Raz has another speaking with his master and what they plan to do. Aaron and Sora see this. Hopefully this is something that is mentioned. Obviously, I've watched the first 8 episodes of season 3 part 2. Hopefully this is mentioned when Sora and Aaron are back with Lloyd at the end of the season. Because if not, sorry, Aaron and Sora are really good liars to Lloyd. Not telling them the full story, which they should. But yeah, that is episode 12. This is going to be one of the quicker episodes. There are a couple episodes at I think the first 3 or 4 are quite slow. They might be a quick breakdown, because I feel like the rest of the season is so much bigger than what we start off with. So yeah, let's head to episode 3. Episode 13. Now, episode 13 opens up with the land of Lee, pretty much. We've entered the land of Lee, and these people are traveling here, giving this guy, Lee, some inventory. And then you can see there's multiple Lees. And then, of course, Jay, Lloyd, and Wildfire, and Nia are pretty much in disguise, ready to join the land of Lee. Do note to self that the writers did not pick the J hairpiece at all. They weren't really thrilled about it, but they had to work it into the story. They didn't really need to work in the story because they didn't know. However, we get back into the main storyline between Lee. That's what it says, right? Between Lee. Wildfire is obviously going to be comedic in this, as usual. So pretty much by time what happens here is, I'll quickly run through it. Lloyd and Wildfire are brother and sister. Jania are in a relationship, or married. Anyhow, so they infiltrate the land of Lee pretty much. There's a bit of a song and a dance in the realm of Lee. The ninja obviously find this obviously weird as hell, so they go undercover. Wildfire and Lloyd find that this person doesn't seem so keen and feels like there's something that's going on. So at night, they sneak in. This person tells them, who's actually Lee, about what actually could be possibly going on, and that she knows some stuff. Side plotting here, Ryu is learning how to do Spinjitzu with Run-2. I don't know why this happens here. Did I skip over something that did actually happen? Yeah. Somewhere in this, Mr. Frohiki cracks the shits at Kai, Cole, Frack, Run-2, and Ryu for trying to learn how to master the arts. So in this episode, you see how Ryu pretty much is training in Creel's junkyard. And yeah, Jay and Nia do a bit of dancing, and you can see there is some romantic connection still there with Jay. We'll talk about that in the next episode. But Lloyd and Wildfire pretty much follow this woman here. See that this dude is getting manipulated by this monster, who I've made a theory that all these monsters we see are from the land of monsters. They wake up, find out that woman was Lee, and Lee captures them. End of episode. Now, this episode description was as quick as possible for multiple reasons. This episode, to me, episode 13 isn't bad. It is the third episode in compared to season 3's part 1, episode 3. I think these two are good and similar at arc. The reason being is both of these third episodes explore what is happening next and have two side plots that will play into a future episode in the season. Admittedly, though, the whole stuff with Kai, Cole, Frack, Ryu, and Run-2 didn't it really be touched upon this episode. I felt like the realm of Lee stuff was more important. But I'm totally fine with them obviously trying to explore some more options in Ninjago and the whole storyline. Now let me know your thoughts about this episode. Now let's go to episode 14. To episode 14. Now in episode 14, pretty much the status that quickly happens is in the administration, some of the people are now getting hollowed, which is interestingly enough, because this is happening everywhere. Drix is the ones that takes their souls and brings them back to Thunder Thing, where we see, if I go back, this is the well, is this the well that Eren was at the start of season 3? Yeah, so this is at the start of season 3, part 1, episode 3, where Eren gains the souls. This is all where the deceased souls would usually go. But because the Forbidden Five are going, but all going into here. Now, as we can currently see, there is 3, 6, 7 Soul Dragons symbols here. Obviously, there is one that we'll touch on a bit later in the episode that shouldn't be here because it, but yeah, this is how Thunder Thing will be able to become a Soul Dragon and fulfill his prophecy of it. I feel like there's one like sort of missing in this corner, but there is 7 here. It's interesting enough that it's depicted that each of these corners would have a Soul Dragon in it. If Thunder Thing wanted to be a Soul Dragon, he would be that one on this side. I love how Ninja they do odd numbers for everything. It's just weird. And you can see those symbols being filled up by these souls, pretty much giving them more of a connection here. Now we see that Eren and Sora are still off with Raz to pretty much the underworld. If you do remember in the pilots, how to get to the underworld was simple. If you didn't have a realm crystal, which was the obviously most used and common way to get there, after the realm crystal was figured out. But if you wanted to go there manually, you would have to go at a delinquent speed. So it makes sense that there is this creature that has the gateway to the underworld since the merge has happened, because realistically, if the lands all merge together, if you're going to the underworld, you would want a creature or being to take you there instead of going at high speeds. Plus, when you think about when the merge did happen, it did go at a velocity rate, which is pretty cool, and something I think that Ninjago writers definitely took note of when they came up with this idea. However, Eren and Soren aren't really sure about following Raz at this point. I'm pretty sure that I think in this episode, Jay and Nia have been getting along very well together, and Lee is about to drain Lloyd and Wildfire's memories, pretty much. I've had a theory that this is something that might have happened to Jay. Remember, creatures are all mysterious. Now, I'm going to not be directly saying what the Source Dragons pretty much say here, but in a nutshell, the emotion, life, and energy Source Dragons are on Lloyd's side, while the others aren't. They disapprove of the actions, even though the Motion Source Dragon has brought Lloyd here. But they need the mortals to protect them, but the others are not sure and do not care if Lloyd helps or not. It's going to still make the situation worse. There's a conflict up with the Source Dragons, which, you know what, makes sense, but we're going to see whatever happens. Remember, I'm talking to you guys before episode 19 and 20 come out, so I'm going to obviously throw out my predictions for these episodes as well. I wouldn't be surprised if this season pretty much helps Lloyd, and the Source Dragons get a better bond, a better connection. I feel like this episode is primitive. I usually don't like to say that the episodes start off slow. We spoke about how last episode was real slow paced into the next. That's definitely what that felt like. I feel like the first two episodes worked really perfectly as a beginning plot point and to get to where we need to be. After this, I think this season is really jam-packed. I just think episode 13 is just the mid-section where nothing really that interesting happens or is exploited properly, or nothing's really shown off properly. However, just delving in more to what happens here, we have more of the Freck and being trained by Cole and Kai. We see that Kai's getting along with Bunzel a lot more since they were stuck in Neverspace for a while, at least a good week or a month. Cole explains his mission from Season 1, Part 2, where he goes to this place that Master Wu tried to tell him to lift. Kai says, why don't we go? We have two masters of technically Earth. One's Earth and one's Quake. We would make a great team with that. However, back on Lord Ross's post, and they're still trying to fight this Bone guy, so they can get into the underworld. This guy travels around, also, which is a pretty cool nod because you obviously need to travel. Jay and Neo go to keep investigating. We get Cruncher and Knuckle, and Lord Ross pretty much tells Eren and Sora, one of you got to sacrifice yourself. Come on, Sora. Enter here. Imperium people are pretty much useless. Yada yada. What he usually says. Jay and Neo figure out what's actually happening in the realm of Lee. Eren makes the decision not to help Lord Ross dramatically. Runs away, and yeah, Eren and Sora get this scene together where it's emotionally attached. I think this is a perfect episode, especially to continue on from what pretty much happened in the last episode and last seasons of Dragons Rising with Eren and Sora's storyline. I think this was a perfect place to definitely take it. Anyhow, back with Jay and Nia before the episode pretty much ends. Jay wants to kill these people. Nia doesn't. And they bump into Eren's parents, who are dramatically down here. This made sense because in last part, we did see the gravestones for Eren's mom and dad, which means Eren's mom and dad are in the realm of Lee. If you thought about that when we quickly tossed over the gravestones from before. Now, this episode 14 episode 14 does have an episode name, doesn't it? Casket of Bones is a great episode, and I think also a great title name, Casket of Bones. Someone could have died. We'll definitely see more of what Lord Ross's plan is in the future episodes, but I think episode 14 is a real good episode for multiple reasons. Episode 14, it's jammed with a lot. You have your round release stuff. You have your Kai and Cole and Frack stuff, which, to be honest, doesn't need to be in this episode, but is. You got your Lord Raz and Aaron story, and I think when you combine those three stories unitely, they come up with this great story that is in an episode just trying to tell that at the moment the key here is finding unity within yourselves. The Kai and Cole stuff isn't something that's hugely based on that, but when you look at it from certain points of view, you have two ninjas that are joining up. You got Nia and Jay, Lloyd Wildfire, Kai and Cole. I wanted to say Zane and Pixel, but they're not in this episode. They're all sort of like king up together, and you have Aaron and Sora on the other half, king up, trying to do the right thing. Sora's trying to do the right thing for Aaron. It's all about unity, I find, in these episodes, especially this one. I think it's what really brings the season together. Usually, it'd be episode 1 to at least 5 is pretty dim. There's not much to do. And then after that, it's pretty much let's rush to get the story done. Like season 3 was, part 1. Other seasons of Dragons Rising haven't been like that, of course, but you can definitely tell in this part, that they aren't rushing the storyline. They're trying to fictionally build it to make it a stronger episode and a stronger part. So it takes forth what they want to do at the obviously end, which is episode 18, 19, 20, and tell what story they want to do pretty much after season 3 part 2 is over. Let's go on with episode 15 before I keep ranting. Films are going to be a lot more clearer for some reason. Anyhow, episode 15 obviously kicks up with Ryu training under Runtu at the monastery, while Cole, Kai, and Frack, also mentioned Kai and Cole, have their hoods on. And also that part is dark maroon. Interesting. Anyhow, Kai, Cole, Frack go to the obvious place where the Source Dragon of Balance is, or where Master has led them to. I shouldn't have spoiled that. Aaron and Sora decide to go after the ninja, but Aaron wants to go see his parents' gravestones one last time. Little does he know his parents are still alive. Cole tries to move the rocks with Frack. Kai decides to jump in and help. Wildfire, cutely enough, wants to escape because that creature is definitely going to go off them soon. We get to see where Aaron gets his detective skills from, that we saw last season with Aaron's parents here. Aaron's parents are very gracious in this episode of this season. I'll break it sort of all down as we seek. Aaron's dad leads Jay into here. They speak about events like in Prime Empire that Aaron spoke about, how Jay was superstar rocking Jay at a certain point. Jay's like, what? Why would that be a thing? Aaron's mom actually comforts Nia on the idea that Jay still feels the same way for Nia. His mind not know it, but his body still does. And that's why in the season when we saw him dancing previously, they still felt that way. Jay helps Lloyd Wildfire escape, even though technically they got out themselves and they just ran into each other. Aaron and Sora start seeing what's actually going on in the realm of Lee, so they decide to go down under it, and they see the ninja. Yes, this mech is absolutely cool, and it is Lee's, but it's still absolutely cool mech. Sora starts to comfort one of the Lees. However, what happens here is, I love how they skip through parts. Kai and Frack and Cole uncover the Source Dragon of Balance. I don't know if that was further back. Yeah. And cover the Source Dragon of Balance. Kai says this dragon makes Firstborn look like a puppy, which, in all honesty, yeah, it does, but I don't know. I feel like the dead skull of the Balance Dragon is iffy. I don't think, no, not at all, because we'll see what happens with Cole. I don't think we get much of any information on what happens after this with the Source Dragon of Balance. To jump on what I'm saying, that is, I don't think they directly tell us why Master led them, at all, especially Cole. Just jumping back to what happened in the realm of Lee. Lee tells the story to Sora what happened, how people would just come and go, and people just wanted to have fun. So he made a deal with someone so they could stop bringing people here, and he decided to make a world where no one gets hurt, no one dies. The spectral Dragonians come. Eren has every night with his parents, and the spectral Dragonians come, and once they take one Lee, they take in pretty much all Lees, which is interesting. And that's the end of episode. I think this episode was pretty cool. Multiple reasons. I think this is perfect for Eren to get, obviously, his parents back. This episode's absolutely amazing. Like I said in the last breakdown part, when you're breaking down anything after episode 4, usually 5 to 10, everything's a quick story to wrap it up. But so far, part 2 doesn't do it. It tells a perfect storyline to get to a certain point. I love Ninjago Dragons Rising for that reason. Not really last season, or last part, but this part does what season 3 part 1 doesn't. It's not a sit down, let's quickly just talk about our adventure. It's let's move it. We've got something to do. In the comments down below, let me know your thoughts. On episode 16. So episode 16 pretty much starts off with Lord Raz still in the underworld, pretty much trying to how do I say this? Get the dragon icons, pretty much. So far, he has to kill people. Remember that. So he's so far got someone obviously in there to make one dragon icon. He speaks to his master, of course, telling him what to do next. However, a whole heap of bone warriors come at him, and it looks to be that there is at the start of the episode, somewhere here, there is a traveler that obviously has come past with a hat and a water bottle. So he obviously killed this person. So this is a very dark tone. You can see the hat's there, the water bottle's there. I feel like they'll hint to us who this is in the future of Ninjago. Don't think he was of any importance. Anyhow, back in the realm of Lee, the spectral Dragonian warriors come here. Don't remember which Forbidden 5 person it was, but a lot of the people pretty much get taken. What's the word? Taken is probably not the wrong word. Get pretty much hollowed out. The ninja have to actually work together here to escape. Not work together to escape. I think it was either that episode or this episode, pretty much. But it is pretty well known that Ninjago Dragons Rising does very well with these action scenes. And I definitely do like this sort of episode a lot. It makes a lot of sense. The fight is absolutely amazing with the ninja learning that water and elemental powers do not affect it, especially knowing from previous seasons that water does usually affect ghosts. So that was pretty nice to know. Back in the departed / cursed realm, the fun thing is pretty happy with how his success is going with the soul capturing, especially after capturing Lee. They make it onto the new Destiny's Bounty. Lloyd pretty much sees how good Eren is with talking to his parents. Eren's parents tell him, "Can you stop talking?" Pretty much. They go in for a heartfelt hug. Eren pretty much has a talk with Lloyd, pretty much telling him, "Thank you for finding my parents. You did what Ross couldn't do." Eren apologizes for pretty much being a bit nasty. Eren tries to help Lloyd out, and then Kai, Cole come back to the land of lost things and find that the finders have been hollowed as well, except Gia, which I find that's interesting. Why did it not come for the weakest members and not the Elemental Masters? We go back to the main team at the moment, pretty much in that realm, trying to find the portal gate. Obviously, they get spotted, but they've got the spectral weapons, and plus in the spectral lands, you can pretty much see all these beings. So, yeah. So Geo is now at the monastery with the finders, because that's where obviously Kai, Cole, and Frack have taken them back to the monastery. I have to admit, these portal gates are amazing. Aaron's parents stay in Aaron's room, and yeah, they make it to the portal gate to obviously find. Okay, so Aaron's parents do actually fly away before going to Spectral Lands, thanks to Sora. Trying to remember all this. And then in pretty neat fashion, they find the monastery in the Spectral Lands, and they go for it to go pretty much into the Torment Gateway, where they were last season ago. They make it there, and I have to admit, everything in the next episode is pretty funny. But I like Ninjago, how Ninjago Dragons Rising Season 3 Part 2 is going. Again, throughout the breakdown of episodes, at least 11 to 18, I'm going to obviously say I haven't seen 19 and 20, but I like how the seasons went so far. I don't see how 2 episodes could go wrong. I'll definitely talk about at the end of Part 18, and I've probably said this multiple times, what I think will happen. But yeah, I'm enjoying this so far. So yeah, peace. So one of the most interesting episodes of the season is this one, and you're going to see why. So this episode starts off with a little bit about Cole and the Finders when he first met up with them at the start. Firstly, this episode confirms that obviously Spitz is one of the Serpentine from Ninjago's past, and Fritz is definitely one of those little animal creatures that will one day obviously turn into an animal, fly off, and all that sort of what Akita is, pretty much. Now, Kai, this episode is basically Kai, Cole, and Frack's episode. But I do want to jump in here and say something though. The side plot storyline in this part, I think, has been done a lot better than what Season 3 Part 1 did. Season 3 Part 2 didn't. No, Season 2 Part 1 did that. Season 2 Part 2 didn't do that. Season 3 Part 1 didn't have a split storyline. But still, a split storyline should be done like this. You're telling 2 equal parts of a story. Obviously, at the start of the that part, obviously the Kai and Cole stuff isn't that important, so touch on it like a bit of salt and pepper on a piece of bread or on your meat, soup, chicken, whatever you want. But this is how you tell a great episode and a great storyline, especially when it's not a big part of it. Anyhow, we split up. I'm gonna try getting the episode name because I know I haven't gotten the episode names. The Vault of Focus. I didn't actually think that was the name of the episode. Anyhow, Wildfire sees that Roby is hollowed out. Jay says something rude to her in Jay fashion now. Anyhow, they're all together, which is the main thing. They all come in to fight. Cole, Kai, and Frack come to fight at the Imperium. And we see that Frack's not really that good of a fighter, to be honest. And Percival's like to Kai. Also, I didn't realize that Percival was a little shorter than a regular figure. Was that just me, or was that everyone else? Did everyone else notice that? Anyhow, kind of story real short. Percival says, we've got these little tints that, which you can see kind of in these eyes. We can make your prismatic blades a bit more stronger with prismatic steel. Can we borrow your blades? Kai is hesitant at first, but he realizes with the glasses that Percival's seeing that they can be useful. I don't know if it's in this part now, but Cole does notice Nox there. They do have a fight with the temple guards here. I find this interesting, that they come speak to Blect, and Wildfire was actually left in charge of the robots, which was pretty cool. All around, this episode is actually really great, and I like this episode a lot. Split storyline, like I said, is told perfectly. Anyhow, Kai mentions to Cole that they should get the prismatic blades pretty much altered because it will help them in the fight. Cole is pretty hesitant. He's like, Kai, you go with Frack to get them done. Did I just see Jay's hands around them? No. Black pretty much tells them what they need to know and says, you gotta follow me. And they go down to this cave here where he tells them about the Arc Dragon of Focus, how it's split up into heads. Obviously, one is in Ninjago, pretty much, and one is in Mysterium. There's places there that they are. Obviously, Ninjago will be a bit hard. Anyhow, Cole has this dramatic fight with Noct. Kai is trying to rush Percival because, dramatic entrances and all. And plus, Cole won't stand a lot of time out there by himself. Pretty much define that. There's something I found funny here is they could use the elemental powers here as ghosts. Noct is the one that uses Shadow Spin. Cole gets his soul hollowed here. Frack gets his moment to shine. And Kai is able to release a couple of souls. But I don't know if that's indicated that they go back to their body. Now that Cole's hollowed, which he looks like Ghost Cole, there's a lot of citizens that are hollowed. Now, Buck has told Lloyd and Neil that if you do see Thunder Thing, that means he's close to becoming a Source Dragon, and that he's going to need to do what's right. So, back on the Source Tournament grounds, the ninja decides to start heading off. Back to the scene, they start, back to that, little not mountain, that little cliff in the last season, a season ago actually, Cole would have made. They look out and they see that Thunder Thing has started his plans. Now, Aaron is going to go with Lloyd, and they try to sort of split the plan up. And Jay's like, no. I am not going with you, Neo, at all. Why? And Nia's like, you know what, I don't have time for this. You're a ninja. Tries to explain everything, and I have to admit, this is a great roll call back to the start of the season, of course, where it was all about this trying to be united, sort of front. They actually were all together. Maybe Zay and Pixel decided to go their own separate ways, but they did decide to try staying core, pretty much. But Jay doesn't want a bar of it, and Nia travels off solo. So the team is, Lloyd and Aaron are going to... the pod realm or wherever the land is. I keep forgetting the name of that place. Wildfire and Sora go back to Ninjago to get that Sora dragon. I forgot that name of that dragon. Apologies again. And then Nia was supposed to go with Jay too, to the land of Mysterium to go to... Well, Sora, the girls' teams are so far trying to split up to find one sort of head of the dragon, while Lloyd and Aaron sort of at the core part where they are going to be there when where they're going to be able to help free the dragon. I'm kind of in kerfuffles, but really great episode to end on. And once everyone goes through their gate, some sly dog is still here, all powered up. Now you can tell that Lord Raz and all that. This was also in a trailer that had come out too. You can see that Lord Raz is pretty armored up with the bones, and he definitely took out those skeletons from the last episode. He's all powered up and he's all ready to go. Pretty great episode. We're gonna move on to the last one that leaked, which is 18, and we'll sort of break some stuff down, and then hopefully 19 and 20 out. Lucky for you, you'll know this off the way it should be, because this is the last leaked episode 18. So let's get on with it. This episode really, I'm not gonna lie, kind of feels like an ending episode, but at the same time isn't the ending episode. I feel like it feels like an ending episode mainly because of what the story is telling, and it's upbeat ending of the season, which is really cool. Firstly, we get Sora Wildfire come back to the monastery, see that there's been a couple of their friends hollowed out. Lloyd and Aaron are still on part with their part of the plan, and Aaron is having some self-doubts about his future, and he tells Lloyd he doesn't think he'll be on the ninja team after this battle, which is understandable. Anyhow, we get to take a look at where Nia's point of view is, which is really cool. Nia speaks about how it's so stupid that Jay didn't want to come along. Anyhow, Sora gets Xanth, I know I forgot his name before, so they can travel to Ninjago. Because if you do remember, they got wished there at the start of the season 1, Nia and Sora. So they don't exactly know how to get there. You have to obviously track the dragon scent to get there. So that's how Sora knows how to get there. So they're going to do the easy route. So Nia finds this coconut that has Gandalaria in there. Probably butchered that name. Nia sees that she's been hollowed out as well. So she has I think 2 safes. I think this one, and there was a spirit. Anyhow, Kai and Frak get back to the monastery. They meet up with Sora. Sora tells her what Lloyd and Nia's plan is. We'll get on to that soon enough. The big debacle that's in the community at this point. Nia expresses emotions to the coconut. And by the time Nia escapes, we see this ominous shadow following her. It's like, who could this totally be? And when you realize, that looks a bit like Kai. That looks like to be Kai. But apparently it's not. Apparently it's Jay. I know this was a huge discussion when the leaks had come out. I had said that looks like Kai because you can see the spiky hair. And the whole community was on that. I will also talk now from perspective of seeing the teaser trailer. Jay does come about in this whole situation at the end. What side he will be on? Will he be with Sora Wildfire, or will he be with Nia? 2 different perspectives, we don't know. And it's still indecisive. It's not like we see a dragon or anything here. This is why it kind of feels like an ending episode. Anyhow, Sora fills Fracken on the plan and how, because they have this thing, this sort of chime. Firstly, they don't like how Frack sings it, and secondly of all, trying to get to it. They're starting to try powering up Thunderfang to become a Source Dragon. Anyhow, Frack is intrigued on Ninjago, of course, which is everyone. And yeah, Raptor is in this episode. I had totally forgotten that they were going there. Raptor probably going to get hollowed out sometime this season. Anyhow, back with Nia, the coconut was talking about her relationship with this guy. Surprised he came back from last season's 2nd episode or 3rd episode. Anyhow, back at the monastery, Spinjitzu, Geo and Mr. Frohiki are just trying to feed them. Anyhow, Geo tries to talk to Cole, and then Lord Raz comes in. And Lord Raz is like, you're not going to face me alone. Just kneel and give up. Can I be honest? I'm surprised Lord Raz just wants a conversation with these guys. So we don't really know what's happening. This is why I sort of say this episode feels like a dead drop. Like an ending episode. Because realistically, if you're going to end anywhere, you'd want to end here. Raz pulls out his weapons while Geo takes the ninja, the hollowed people, into the lift. And we, pretty much in the episode with them trying to go up the elevator. I hope they go up the elevator, if I'm being honest with you. Because I don't think these guys can have a fight. And I don't think it will end well at all. But I am looking forward to episode 19 and 20. Please be September 4th. I'm looking forward to it. Comments down below on what you think will happen next. Pause here if you obviously haven't seen the episode for some reason. But spoilers after a couple of parts here for 1920. Now that we've broken down the first 8 leaked episodes, let's quickly just get on to theorizing what will happen in episode 19 and 20. Obviously, if you've seen the episodes, you can skip this part. That's why there's timestamps. Now, anyhow, my theory prior to the episodes coming out, because this is like still late August, almost 1 more week till it comes out, but you guys are watching when it is out. Anyhow, back to my theories on what's going to happen. Now, I do think the Ninja are going to defeat Thunderfang, unleash the Arc Dragon of Focus. I think that's something that we've known since the start of this year. Reason being, oh well, there is a set. Anyone think about that one? Anyhow, I think this season will end similar to how Season 3 Part 1 ended, but we're having a celebration in the monastery. But I think the Ninja are like, I think it's time to relax. I think not time to relax, I think it's time to sort out whether how Lord Raz is. Jay, are you still down to go find him? LJ's like, yeah, 100%. I do think at the end of the day, there is going to be some sort of dramatic ending. We do know that from the leaks as well. But back to just each individual character's main plot, I think then every character will be unhollowed, including Cole. And the Finders, I think that is a necessary thing. I think Kai will end up with Jay and Nia, freeing one part of the Arc Dragon of Focus. I thought it was the Source Dragon for a second. My bad. I do think there will be consequences with the Source Dragons. And the reason why I do also say Kai goes with Nia is, firstly, we do know Jay ends up with Nia. And secondly, we do know Kai was in that flurry figure, so it has to be Kai. Now, 3 reasons why I say this is, it's a free on free, realistically. Or Kai could be at the monastery, but I don't think that's what we were stated or what was really shown. Anyhow, I think it's a free on free thing. I think you got a better chance on having free people try to sort out stuff. I do think Sora might make a wish to Eric about Jay, especially seeing the heartache that Nia is going through, and maybe this is an important thing for Eric to say, that big wishes like this could maybe result to no more wish making for that user. And I think Sora will be fine with that, because technically one of her masters is going through the hardest pain of all. I think it's something that you could wish upon. Also, something I do want to see is, because we do know Rapton's going to be there, I like to see Rapton get hollowed out, or a lot of his members get hollowed out, and like, oh yeah, you gotta help the Ninja again. I feel like that's an occurrent thing, and I think that will play into our Season 5 storyline, with Beatrix, or Z-Trix. What am I hoping to see in the ending? Obviously there will be a clue, where Season 4 will go. Where it will personally go, in my opinion, is interesting. I do think it shouldn't be really touched upon right now, for multiple reasons. One of those necessary reasons being that there is, realistically at this time, no point in spoiling the Land of Monsters, but maybe having Kai state that there is something that we need to go there for. There is a theory that's going around that will lose his elemental power again. I don't think Doc Wyatt is one of those writers that wants to continue a plot thread that keeps happening with these characters. I think it would make sense doing a story like this again and doing a Quest of the Lost Powers story, but I don't want it. For multiple reasons, is because if you like that continuation of that story where the Ninja have to find themselves and what their biggest fear at the moment is, because when you think about it, Neo went through this during Crystallize, for Ninja do it after for original Ninja do it after Crystallize. At the moment, Lloyd's biggest fear is failing, and it wasn't something that he was worried about in Season 9. That was resisting his father and trying to keep alive until he had hope. And his fear was more facing him. I think this time around it is obviously not his father, but the merge and the truth behind his uncle. I think that isn't necessarily something that Lloyd needs to tackle about his powers. I think it's more or less his powers need to be tackled in an individual story, because obviously there is much more to what Master hasn't and has told the ninja, especially about the elemental powers. Remember in season 4, the ninja didn't know anything else about the elemental monsters. Now they know a whole plethora of them all. So it is interesting. There is a great story to obviously be told with Lloyd's power. I think that needs to be saved. But I don't think he needs to lose his power, because I don't think they'll tackle that well. We already saw when they tried to take his soul away in season 3 part 1 that they didn't even decide to give him the black eyes at all. They seem to not want to do that anymore, which, you know what, I do understand. I really do understand. But when you are trying to tell a story and keep the same plot thread, you do it. I do understand for Toronto sources, because that's a bit of a different thing. Doc White has also mentioned, and did also mention in the series, when the loser loses their elemental powers, they're not lost inside them by right, because we saw Cole was able to, in his mech, use a bit of his earth power that he had left. Because, like, for example, you couldn't give Eren an elemental power in that tournament. It'd have to be someone that was an elemental master. So, technically, yes, Lloyd still had his power inside. That's obviously why he didn't use it. And it's interesting because when Cinder went to go try to attack the ninja, the bots also burned wildfire. So it is a significant plot thread to just keep in the top of your head. But it is something that I think would be interesting. Now, I think Jay will definitely get some part of his memories back. I think that's an obvious thing in this part. It's probably why he came back to Neon. Eric Cole could wish for Jay's memory to be back. Be a nice little throwback to season 6 of Ninjago, Master of Spujitsus. I'm very interested to see how this season ends. I think the reason why I'm very interested is because we had such a long wait for it. And just because I think this part, or this ending, will do something that the last 2 seasons haven't done. Season 2, part 2, sort of just ended, and just letting us know there is much more of a story to be told with Eren. However, this time around, it's not like that. It's much more of a story that's going to be told for the next 2 years and wrap up. We're at the middle ground. I've said that all year this year. This is the middle ground of the story. How do we wrap this storyline up? Well, the Ninja are united now, so let's start wrapping the story up by having them tackle the next issue. How do they stay united when they're all splitting up? And how do they stay united when they've all changed? Jay's a different person. Zane and Pixel keep going here and there, and keep coming back. Zane keeps changing into different forms, always breaking. Cole's always with the Finders. How do they keep that unity is what they'll tackle next season. And it would make sense if you're having an elemental-based power storyline and going to the Land of Monsters. I think that's a great way to tackle the thing. I think Zane will also come back at the end of this part, but let's hope so, because it'd be awkward if he didn't. Okay, let's start breaking down next episodes. At all. But holy shit. Ninjago Dragon Rising Season 3 Part 2's teaser trailer is out. And I'm not really going to break much down about this. Because I don't even think it has sound. Does it? Yeah, this one doesn't have much to say. Obviously, one thing I am going to say is this shows off a couple of new scenes. For example, it has Drix in the Thirstlands, which we haven't seen this scene before. Drix is obviously floating into the scene. We get to see the ninja come to visit Eagle for the last time. We had a couple of scenes before, obviously, Cole turns hollow. For some reason, I don't recall this scene. I actually was rewatching one of the episodes, and this actually does happen. We get Lloyd fighting some spectral dragonians. Then this scene is the new scene that we haven't seen. We get to see No, can I stop for a second? Depending on how you look at this looks like Beatrix's mech from season 2. But I just keep remembering it is Jay's mech. We have Zoct versus Jay in this rocky terrain. This does indicate that Jay does go off to Nia by the looks of things. I'm pausing and stopping and starting because I was under the assumption that it was Kai. I figured it would be Kai. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pillars. Unless this is in the monastery, I would highly doubt that. Some other scenes that we have obviously seen before. This is obviously Lord Raz obtaining the dragon icons and killing the warriors. Then we do get the scene, obviously, with Lord Raz powered up. Oh my god. So the main takeaway, what's the main takeaway from all this? All the scenes are pretty much the same. The only takeaway is literally this fight scene. This fight scene shows off that Jay is going somewhere. He will be in the last 2 episodes fighting Zoct. He will be with the ninja. At some point, it doesn't show where the ninja are or if Jay is following Kai close behind. There's not much to say. Now, I don't know what to say because this loses me for words. Because at the moment, I'm under the assumption this is Jay who has followed Kai, who has followed Nia on this journey. Jay has probably got his memories back and has tracked down Nia. Now, I would have totally preferred the opposite route where Jay went to go fight Lord Raz. But then again, this could also be something that happens. These crystals could indicate a whole heap of things. Not just that this is the cave that Nia has walked into, because, yeah, she's walked into a cave. This could also be in Ninjago, for heaven's sakes. This could play out so many ways. Jay could go with Sora. He could also go with Kai and Nia. Or, typically enough, he could be going after Raz, which I doubt this is it. This does look like crystal caves, which would make sense. But in the comments, let me know your thoughts about the teaser trailer. What did you guys think? Thank you guys for watching. I'll link it down in the description. What has felt like one eternity later and a whole heap of leaks. Season 3 Part 2 episodes 19 and 20 are currently out on the 25th of August. They got leaked early. Now, this video won't be coming up, obviously, September 4th, but still, I thought I'd record everything here. So, let's really break down the last 2 episodes and wait 1 week to upload this video. Let's go! I'm waiting for episode 19. Let's go. So, pretty much, I'm gonna put the violin down. The episode starts off with Ericor and the ninja telling them how they need to open one of the other halves of the Arc Dragon in Ninjago, and they're asking if it's back. Ericor's like, I'm not sure about this, but I can obviously try, seeming like Xanth is here, and he's grown bigger. We cut into, firstly, we cut into Mr. Faruk and Geo trying to defend the monastery from Lord Raz. We'll talk a bit about that later on. However, Raptor comes, sort of messes things up for Sora, Wildfire, and Frack, where they're trying to be a bit quieter. This dude, the gem guy, is kind of a bit agitated and won't let Nia through. Kai seems to step up the plate and pretty much gets them through, thanks to Kai agitating him. But he also told him what he told Wildfire back in season 1. I want to do, after this video, this big video is over, I'll take a bit of a break. But I want to speak about Kai's character development for Our Dragons Rising season 1, 2, and 3. Because there's a huge character growth in Kai, and I appreciate this. Kai from at least from Sons of Gammon a bit, I wouldn't say that era was bad, but mainly starting in season 11 to Crystallize, his character was goddamn shit. And what they've done with Kai and the rest of the Ninja too is really good, but noteworthy where Kai is. It's a key stepping stone to seeing where the true main character, the dude that made this series money, is really good. The main staple of the show is Vincent Tong's Kai, number one, first of all, because you wouldn't have Ninjago without Vincent Tong or Kai, mainly because they were the original ninja, main character in the box, main character of the pilot series, of course. But of course, every other ninja is as important. But just Kai's character development was really shit. It was really sad to see that. I think even Vincent Tong was really happy to see where the Fire Master is going now. Now Kai gets them through, and the coconut, and I don't really want to sit there and explain, but if you watch the episode, you know, I feel like it's a bit of a waste of time to explain it. Anyhow, Ericor has finally fixed where sort of that dragon is and brought it back after a lot of wish magic. Anyhow, Lloyd and Aaron are going to try. I feel like this episode is very goofy in a way, and in many ways, I just feel like there were parts that should have been a bit pacier, a bit quicker. For example, we'll get into the Lord Raz stuff. Nothing is an issue here, and I'll explain in episode 20 why I love this season after that. Lloyd and Aaron decide to keep going. I'll explain a bit about that later. Anyhow, Geo and Mr. Furuki do put up a good fight against Lord Raz, even taking off the strength icon off Raz. And Geo does try his best, but gets annihilated here. I'm pretty sure he's okay. And Mr. Furuki tries to save him, especially even Rontu. Rontu tries her best to help out. But Mr. Furuki doesn't stand a chance, and Lord Raz is like, take me to Master Wu's book, where Wu keeps his bookkeeping, and Geo is now left on the other side, underground of the training course, and Rontu is just pretty much knocked out. Anyhow, I won't even explain what Raptum's after. He's after his Pink Pony Club thing. Anyhow, Lloyd remembers that what's Roby's uncle Blecht said that the well is literally under the spectral lands, so they decide to use Shadow Spin, which I think it was Shadow Spin at the time that Nook tried to use, and Lloyd just helps it break the floor and just breaks the floor down, and then the ninja pretty much enter the Bells of Caves. I'm gonna also say this when I do episode 20's breakdown. The group of ninja that are at Ninjago right now, besides one of them, which I'm not going to name names, they're really useless. No offense, it's goofy and all, but they're kind of useless. And this is my, there's only one gripe I've had with Ninjago Dragons Rising, mainly with the other Elemental Masters. Especially, I wouldn't say it especially would roll with Frack at the moment, but would roll for Sora and Wildfire. A lot with Sora and Wildfire, actually. None of them know how to use Spinjitzu. None of them know how to do literally anything. Now, Sora, yes, she has learned a bit of Spinjitzu, but Wildfire doesn't know shit. And my issue is, none of them know Rising Dragon. Could you imagine going up against one of the Forbidden Five? Now, it is goofy a little bit on how they get the birds to sing. Really cool. But it's also nice how they get the bells going. And this episode sort of starts off the journey of the two heads of the Focus Dragon. Arc Dragon of Focus. And the episode sort of ends with Lloyd and Aaron sort of under the well, where we'll see it continue in episode 20. So, let's go with episode 20. Episode breakdown. I'm kind of not, because this video has gone over an hour at least, and is longer than the last one. So, I don't want to make this short at all. I want to break this part down really well because this episode I enjoy a lot. So Lloyd and Aaron are under the well, and they are going to need to fix the crystal because the crystal is kind of, sort of messed up. Going back, Kai and Nia have, I think they've rung the bells, doves, and then for some reason everything starts going a bit mysterious. Sora, Frack, Wildfire, and Ryu have Kerr to deal with, which is kind of funny because if you remember in part 1, Kerr's powers can literally be defeated by heat. It's an explanation I'll get onto later if these Forbidden Five have been using the elemental powers at all. Getting back to it, Kaya and Nia have to deal with Zoct, which is interesting. While Kai and Nia are battling them, the coconut stays sort of behind and helps out by Nia throwing them. And yeah, pretty self-explanatory. And Rising Dragon is actually used here. An interesting note to self, Rising Dragon isn't used this part until episode 20. It was used, of course, in season 3, part 1, first 10 episodes at least. Which is odd because we've never strayed away from using it. Unless I'm totally wrong and they've used it at some point. But I don't have any recall of them using Rising Dragon. Alright, so getting more into it. Now, one thing I'm going to say about Sora's team at the moment. This episode proves a big point that I think is sort of strained away from Ninjago itself. The thing that is definitely shown here is, this is mainly of Sora and Wildfire. I don't know if I spoke about this in my breakdown episode with them in the last episode. There's a point that's proven here that Sora, Wildfire, and Ryu haven't lived up to anything in the last 3 seasons of the show. There might be an exception for Ryu. You'll just have to wait and see. Or if you know, you know. But in this episode, it is shown that Sora and Wildfire are kind of useless when it comes to trying to defeat a Forbidden 5 member. They don't know Rising Dragon. Sora barely knows Spinjitzu. Frack only knows how to Quake. Yeah, they can combat it a bit, but it isn't something major. It's pretty much a useless team, but how they deal with it is funny. I keep saying don't I? Yeah, shut up. So we're gonna get back into it. It's just how I feel. It's just a bit funny when you see these two goofballs trying to fix it. I'm trying to sort out a problem. Aaron and Lloyd are trying to fix still the crystal. Crystal it is. Aaron uses like that Spinjitzu thing that he was learning off Roz, and you can realize if he doesn't really have an elemental power, I get that. I get that a lot. But I feel like he has some connection to Spinjitzu itself. If that's not thanks to Master Wu, who's to say? He doesn't feel anything at the end, so we'll get into that. Anyhow, they release the Arc Dragon of Focus without consequence yet. However, they defeat Thunderfang. They're trying to defeat Thunderfang. Frack has this heart-to-heart moment with Sora. No, my boy. You're going to spend the whole next season with her, and you just made life awkward for yourself, buddy. Yeah. They released the Arc Dragon of Focus. I want to get into it, but I have... Yeah, so this is the scene where Aaron gets those fancy-colored eyes, and so does Lloyd. He gets purple ones. They are controlling the Arc Dragon of Focus, which is really neat. I like that concept. At the same time, I found it very odd first time around watching it. There's a point in this episode. It's here. Zog's using his power, or is he using Shadow Spin? It isn't very clear here what he's using. I'm gonna say Shadow Spin because Kerr doesn't use her power. None of these guys have ever used their power besides Kerr. And Kerr, Drix, and Noct. Useless people. Useless characters. Kai's getting really worried because Nia's been using... Zog's been using shadow spin and knocking the shit out of her. And Kai's been trying to take care of the Dragonians. And Kai, if you remember last episode, had an emotional heart-to-heart with Neo. And you wouldn't believe who comes in to rescue them. It's Jay, our lovable lightning ninja Jay. He comes in to rescue them. He has a heart-to-heart with Neo, and it's such a great moment. I love this. There is a scene when Jay does use his powers that I'm very questioning at the moment. Because I really want to ask the question here. I know the lighting's very off, and I know it's yellow right here. But does it not look a bit red? I know it's the lighting of the artwork, but that has to be at least a little red. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's a topic for another video to discuss. It's most likely going to be yellow because we've seen it yellow before. It's not red because the tint of the area, if you would change up the tint of this image, you could tell that it's not red. But it'd be an interesting concept to dive more into with another video. That is a cool photo. Maybe we should use that as the thumbnail of this video. Interesting. Really cool. They have a heart-to-heart, and I think Jay is starting to sort of remember stuff. Like at the start of the season, Aaron's mom was telling Nia that his muscle memory in his body remembers Nia. The brain doesn't. Everything else, I don't want to know if that does. But everything else does. I also hope Lego, this is not a call out to Doc Wyatt or the writers, because they confirm this, if not a Lego piece next year, goes. This goes. Okay? You got me? If we keep this next year, I'm going to be pissy. I'm going to be shitty as hell. This needs to go. Especially on Jay next season. Nia, you gotta say the headband looks like Unagami and looks ridiculous. Please. Appreciate that. Anyhow, someone tried to do Spinjitzu at the start of this episode and has done Spinjitzu. Oh, also, please tell me, does no one see this as like a donkey reference at all? Does no one? This reminds me of Shrek 2 when Donkey goes, "I'm a Gallian steed," to Shrek. This has to be a callback. If you're telling me that is not a callback to Shrek at all, then one of you's a high, because that's the first thing I saw. Also, I cheered for this moment because this bloody dragon has more than what it takes to be a sauce dragon. There's a lot of things that I found in this season, which is surprising. Ryu only doesn't do anything in the first parts of every season, but has a huge connection every season. Part 2 season. So, I love this. Definitely, if you're telling me this wasn't a donkey reference, go back home. So, once Thunderfang is now defeated, also the ninja control it. I think I mentioned that. Everyone sort of gets their memories or souls back. This is funny. These people in the administration pretty much say, "Oh, I would hate to be hollowed." And I'm like, yeah, I would hate to be hollowed too. And then they say, well, "Oh, can you imagine that for a lifetime?" or something like that. I'm like, yeah, you guys bloody live in that. Yeah, so. Go back to the realm of Lee. Okay, this is the only shitty part about this episode. Once Cole finds that he's on Hollow, he doesn't go look for anyone quickly. It is about the finders, always about the finders. Every season you're worried about the finders. Stop worrying about them in particular. Worry about your other family. Where is Gio? If you love Gio, find Gio. Yeah, that's my only issue with this episode. We don't know what geophoric is. Aaron's parents are probably bloody fine, but anything's possible when you don't see it on screen. They could be dead for all we know. Remember that? Fucking bloody 3 seasons of, alright, she's dead. Right? Anyhow, I'm not really phased. I'm really not phased. Anyhow, we get back to the Spectral Lands. Lloyd and Aaron have speaking with the Focus Arc Dragon. And the Arc Dragon pretty much says, I hope the consequences aren't to die for you. And the Source Dragons can see what you've done, that you did well. Lloyd tells Aaron respectfully, you can not be a ninja, because that's what he wanted. There is a huge quake in the ground where the ninja all strike their powers. It's something that's making them lose their control of them, like we see with Lloyd. He's losing control of his power. He's not lost it, because when he loses his power, it'll be black eyes. I think that's the confirmation here, that it's not a loss of powers, it's a control. It is a difference, especially we won't go to the sources or tournament of elements sort of stuff, but once they if they lose their powers like in previous seasons, that means they're lost for good. Obviously the power is still deep inside, but all that training they've done over the years is wiped out with their power. It's going to take a lot more than their training. However, with Lloyd and the ninja at the moment, especially Lloyd with his eyes, the power is still inside. It's just not activating the way he wants it to, because the Arc Dragons and the Source Dragons are not letting it at this current time. I still hope that one day we do get black eyes for this version of Lloyd, the modern version of Lloyd. Anyhow, we're going to quickly split up into teams to see where everyone's at. Quickly. Actually, we won't go back and forth. We'll take a look at where Jay, Kai, and Nia end up, which I love this team at the moment. Jay, Kai, and Nia end up in this mysterious place. This is most likely the realm of... not madness. This is most likely the realm of... I keep saying the realm of. It's, the land of monsters. This is most likely this place, but there are 3 realms to learn more about. Wildfire, Sora, Frak, and Ryu end up where pretty much, what's the name of the place called? Where the Wolf Warrior Temple ended up. Now, we're going to find out thanks to Raz. So he hasn't created, reforged the merged lands. He's at the Tournament Temple City Gates. But pretty much, he's locked Master Wu up here. And because of him finding out more information, he has sent the ninja into the far regions of the merged lands. You know, I'll probably do a separate video on that itself. But there's 4 corners of a map. 1, 2, 3, 4. He sent them to 4 places. Well, mainly 3, or however you want 3. But we do know Zane's up there. I have done a video, or should have done a video by this point, discussing what I think Zane is. But they've sent him. He's obviously at a far region, and Cole's like trapped in the middle of it. So heavens knows what Cole's gonna do. Hopefully Geo's okay. And yeah, he's trapped Master Wu. He's caused all this. Now he's really ready to set his stuff into place. Now the thing here is something that I'm gonna get a bit serious about. Is simple. He only has 2 dragon icons. Obviously these aren't icons itself, but he needs obviously 5 more. Oh no, wait, 4 more. That being life, motion, flow. I don't know what that one is. Yeah. 4, I think. I could be wrong. Don't mistake me in the comments, please. Don't judge. So let's remember. Anyhow, the truth here is simple. Lord Raz, his entire goal here is going to be very big. He wants the ninja far apart. Obviously, that is the realm. That portal gate. I don't know what that portal gate stands for. That's collapsed. Anyhow, Lord Raz definitely doesn't know, also, just to jump in here, Lord Raz doesn't know about the Source Dragons taking away the elemental powers. He doesn't know about that. However, the Source Dragons defer that without the balance of the other three Source Dragons, there is no control. I have a theory that they might be looking for a Source Dragon of balance. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe Ryu could step the plate up. But it'd be very interesting to see what comes next. I found this season very exciting. I'll talk a bit about that soon. But I am interested to see this ending of Dragons Rising itself. Who will fill in the balance? Will these ninja get their powers back? And where the hell is Lloyd and Aaron? Because they're in this green grass area. And I think we're going to explore more of Lloyd's power. I think it's a given. And with all of them missing, I'm excited to see where they're at. And to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to the season ever so more than I should be. Next year is going to be a blast, and I'm looking forward to it. Let me know your thoughts and comments about this. Let's go on to my final thoughts.
That was amazing! Forget everything I used to say about you being the worst ninja.
You used to say what?
Huh? What? No. Oh, that was Cole. We should go.
So, I just wanted to give my thoughts on just part 2, and then I'll give my whole thoughts on season 3. So, I'll firstly say that a lot of people in the community are feeling a bit whacked out from how season 3 is in general. I think out of the 2 parts, season 3 part 2 is totally a lot better. Yeah, it does have its flaws, but it does actually something that I wish other seasons of Dragons Rising did, which is give characters who aren't important to the main plot a bit of a story, which, yeah, they did do in season 2 part 1, but I think it was handled a lot better here. Yes, a lot of questions were answered in this season, but was it well done? Not really, no. I feel like finding out that what Master was trying to lead Cole to was really cool, and I think that being a side storyline means that it's setting up something even more important in season 4. I have a video coming out about that later on, or should be out by now, because remember, I'm pre-recording this. I think that Ninjago Dragons Rising is something that's very different to what we've ever seen in the last 15 years, besides the 3 years that Dragons Rising's been going on. It tells a continuous story that Ninjago has done, of course. It tells a continuous story, but every year you're left on a cliffhanger. Now, I'll quickly speak about this year. The leaks, they didn't really help, I think, this part. You have to look beyond that, and it's really hard to. It's definitely, especially with the last 2 episodes, especially episode 19 being very cringy in a way, but by all means a very good episode when you take a look at it. The issue I currently have is the season 3 part 1 part 2 thing. I'll also have a video hopefully out by now, and you might have heard me explain this. I would like Ninjago to maybe have, especially next year, have longer episodes. The way the season ends is absolutely amazing. You have the ninja split off into 4 or 5 different teams now. That's including Cole's team and Zane's team as well. So you gotta look at this. How do you expand your season next year and make it some sort of celebratory sort of gift without ruining what you got? I think they've done it pretty well so far. There's a mention that Jay is starting to remember stuff from his past. Well, not directly, but he's starting to feel connections, especially with Nia. I think that's important before going into season 4. And especially Doc White confirming, yeah, I'll also have done this in my own Jay video, how it's important to have that character arc storyline. Now, where the season ends off with the ninja is really cool. Again, I like it. Elemental powers all not working properly. I'm not a huge fan of it. Mainly for the ninja, not for storytelling. But storytelling purposes, they wanted to hit a nail in the coffin. They nailed it. And they struck it in and made it different. that's what I like about Doc Wyatt's writing and Kevin Burke's writing, is they're not afraid to tell a story that we've seen multiple times. They're not afraid to touch the boundaries of what they're capable of. They're just trying to tell a story. Master Wu being captured by Lord Raz in spirit form, gotta say, didn't see that coming. That was not on my bingo card. The reason why I guess no one saw this coming is mainly because we didn't think this was possible. I have to admit, though, it is going to be interesting. Like, there's questions that need to be answered. What's going to happen to Roby, City of Temples? Is Lord Raj just going to break that bridge? Well, what's to go down next season? I think it's a huge cliffhanger. That's kind of why I'd be interested in a 12-episode structure next season, or a 15-episode structure, because I feel like 10 episodes sometimes isn't enough in Ninjago. And I feel like more or less season 3 part 1 needed 5 more episodes to talk about its story. I'll quickly mention that here. I think season 3 part 1 was a bit bad, in my opinion. The reason why I say that is it doesn't really have a great story. I think the first 3 or 4 episodes are pretty decent, but beyond that, it's a whole plot driven thing where we need to go to this place, Aaron, because this place will tell me where to go. It's just plot by plot by plot. Even Sora, there's like I'll even just mention it here. There's hints in season 3 part 2 that say, you went to go speak to your master. It's wild that you walked to your left, come back behind the stone, and you're telling us what to do now. It's like, what, you didn't know that 5 minutes ago? Dumbass. But like, it's all that sort of stuff. Just final thoughts on everything. Was really impressed with part 2. Obviously, I'm talking about this on the 29th of August. So, and then hopefully this video will be finished by then. However, I'm really curious to see where the series goes now. I'm hoping this video does really well, because I was really a fan of part 2, and I hope a lot of people would too, because there was so much story in it, and I feel like every ninja got their character development. I'm just goddamn impressed with this season. It's done something, I think, in Dragons Rising. They've obviously done this multiple times, have a great story. And yeah, I guess the last 2 episodes' story is pretty bland, but just the character development all around is really great. I know I didn't get into much Ninja. I might have spoke about Jay here, or Cole, a bit. Mainly Jay, because I think that's really the standout here. I want to do separate videos on that, because I feel like a breakdown video is just about the episodes. But I don't want to sit here breaking down Lloyd, Aaron, Sora on this video, because I feel like you'd get tired. I was supposed to do that for part 2. Part 1, I never got a chance to do that because of the part 2 leaks. I think that's what sort of happened. There needs to be a bit more control, Lego. Yeah, learn how to control your most popular brand. If you don't, you're gonna just wreck it. Then again, it's been going for 15 years, and leaks have been going for longer than that. So, do what you please, Lego. Don't listen to me. I'm just a 20-year-old adult that just new to the world. You're probably like 60, 100 at least. But let me know your thoughts about this in the comments. Just what are your thoughts about part 2? Did you enjoy it? Do you hate it? What are your serious thoughts? Alright, so now that we've broken down all of Season 3, Part 1 and Part 2, I'll link down Part 1 in the description and in the comments. I really want to say thank you to Doc Wyatt and Kevin Burke for what they have done with Ninjago Dragons Rising, and I want to also apologize about the leaks, because as much as they're really fun to see episodes come out early, I know it's hard for people that have wrote this stuff, have produced the show, to have their show leaked. It is not fair on them, and I just also want to say we've got to support the content when it comes out as well. Don't just watch the leaks and then say, I don't care. Please, watch it on Netflix when it's out. Watch it on Peacock. Watch it on YouTube. I at least watch the last episodes on YouTube for a lot of reasons, because I prefer to watch the last episodes on YouTube because, to be honest, I don't know what it is with my Netflix account. I never get the best HD quality on those episodes half the time. But at least the lost episodes aren't in the best quality on YouTube. They are really good, and I think that's vice versa. That's just probably me, but you've got to support them. Final thoughts on Season 3 Part 2. I have to say, Kevin Burke and Doug Wyatt always do something really amazing with their Part 2s. Season 1 of Dragons Rising is a totally different story. The storyline that they did with Season 1 is a beautiful tie-up to what the season is going to be and what the series was once before. Now, Season 2 is very interesting, how it has two different stories. One's a tournament at the end, and one is pretty much a whole adventure of training and sort of understanding the world that is of Dragons Rising. Those two stories are really good. I have to admit, Season 3 Part 1 has to be the weakest link out of all the storylines here, but Season 3 Part 2 has a lot of cool, but a lot of issues you would think that why are we going to the realm of lethal? This feels like a waste of time. No, I think this whole season was written perfectly. I don't know how they brought this concept of let's go to the realm of Lee, have a dangerous subject happening at the same time, while they all go to free an Arc Dragon in the midst of this, of focus, then trying to defeat Final Fang, all splitting up, and then now all being separated. I think Doc White has come up with an amazing storyline that he is telling through Dragons Rising in a perfect way. How he's aligned at least Moro, which I'm upset that he didn't bring Moro back for the final episode, but he's brought this beautiful subject of storytelling to Ninjago that wasn't there 3 years ago. What Dragons Rising is now isn't what we used to have in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. What they've done is so much better than what they could have come up with several years ago. And I really love this. I really love the story that they're telling. It's beautiful. Raz is an interesting, corrupt villain where we're going to learn so much about him, because in episode 19, we learned that Ego and Rantu knew Zaka. And what an interesting character that guy was. He might have had Lloyd's energy power, and we're going to find that out in Season 4. But the characters are getting as interesting as it gets, and I love the story. Were the Forbidden Five a great villain for Season 3? No. But I'm glad they're gone, because they are really dangerous, I think. I really couldn't tell, Doc White. I would have loved more action-packed scenes with them, especially with their powers. Still have a couple questions about that. But I am really curious to see where Season 4 will go. Splitting the Ninja up was the best thing they could have done. Do it a round of this again so they aren't split up. Source Dragons aren't united. The Ninja are not all united. Where will they go after this? Only Doc Wyatt and Kevin Burke know, and the people that voiced the Ninja. But I'm really interested to see what happens next. Also, does Euphrasia fall out the sky? Can I get an answer on that? Because if she's using her power, she's going to fall. So, yeah. Thanks, Doc Wyatt and Kevin Burke, for an absolutely amazing Season 3 Part 2. I really loved it, enjoyed it so much, and I really hope that the best for Season 4, because I'm looking forward to next year, 15 years, and a brand new adventure to go on. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. Peace out, guys.